Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to the Level Playing Field podcast, episode 9.
Yes.
Today we have video. You can see our faces. It's amazing.
It's revolutionary. It's the first time
Yes.
ever. First time ever.
Yes.
Crazy stuff.
If you're listening on Spotify or any of those things, you can go on Instagram at the Level Playing Field and on YouTube, and you can see our faces talking to each
Yeah,
other.
man. Yeah. Mental.
Powerful. And today we're doing that because we have a very special album. It's called Run the Jewels 4, and it's the 4th installment in the Run the Jewels series.
Oh, yeah.
We've been waiting for this for years, and
Yeah.
it's an insane album.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So saying that, we're just going to focus on that for the whole episode. If you've not listened before, normally we have a guest, we do different segments, different albums, but today it's all about Run the Jewels because it's a very special album.
Oh, yeah. So how long have we been waiting for this one then?
It feels like, I'm pretty sure a year or two ago, you messaged me saying we might get Run the Jewels 4 this year.
Yeah.
But it has been, when did they release Run the Jewels 3?
That was 2016. That was
2016, so
Christmas time.
yeah,
But yeah.
good 4 years.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, I've been waiting for it ever since.
I've not been this hyped for an album. Ever.
Exactly. It honestly, and it not one that's lived up to the hype and possibly exceeded it.
I think the last album that I was potentially nearly this excited for was Revival. But I mean, like, we all know.
Let's
all know how
over
that one went.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, do you want to go into how we got into Run the Jewels? Because for me, it was just, you messaged me one day saying, do you want to go to a Run the Jewels concert? I'd never heard of them. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And yeah, it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Danny Brown was a support. He's one of my favorite rappers. And today, still, I'd place him in the top 3. Yeah, there would... Without that concert and without Run the Jewels, there would not be a level playing field.
Yeah, man. From one duo to another. But
yes.
Yeah, these guys.
What about
legends.
you? How'd you get into?
Well, for me, I was really into Rage Against the Machine, kind of around that time, 2017, and I was wondering what Zach De La Rocha was up to. So I found Close Your Eyes and Count to Fuck off Run the Jewels 2 and Digging for Windows, which was his single produced by LP. And I thought, yo, this sounds like nothing I've ever heard before. So I was like, okay, I've got to check these guys out. And yeah, Run the Jewels, instant fan. But yeah, loved them ever since.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, I don't think there's much else to talk about. I think let's just get straight into the tracks.
Let's do it.
So... For this, the first single that they released was called Yankee and the Brave. And I remember it was right at the start of the lockdown. LP just tweeted out, fuck it, here's a track.
It's new
out
music.
Of the blue. We got the first track from this album. And it's mental. It's totally bonkers. Like, it's very different to what we've heard before with Run the Jewels, but it's still like in your face. Killer Mike comes in with the back at it like a crack addict, Mr. Black Magic, and then you get these boom, 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 boom drums. The beat I would describe as a beat form of West Side Gun. It's insane.
Yeah, and yeah, I love that beat, man, because obviously you got the drums they're quite erratic to start off with, but then obviously you've got those classic LP synths just swelling all throughout. And yeah, it's a brilliant piece of music. I mean, all 3 Run the Jewels albums prior to this one all start with a bang as well. Obviously, we had the self-titled off of Run the Jewels 1. We had Jeopardy off 2, and we had Down off 3. And now we got Yankee and the Brave, episode 4. And if you don't know, by the way, Yankee and the Brave is a reference to the New York Yankees, which is where LP's from, and the Atlanta Braves, which is where Killer Mike's from. I think they're the hockey teams or the football teams. Something like that. It's the American sports.
I don't know.
But yeah, and then obviously episode 4, Run the Jewels 4, and yeah, banging start. They let you know what you're in for, man. Straight up.
Oh, definitely. I mean, some of the lines on here are so fun. I'd say that for all of them. Like throughout this album, it just feels like they're having fun with the lyrics, and just it sounds aggressive, but it's just in
the best way.
Fun. Like the wordplay and everything is crazy.
I mean, Killer Mike, he starts us off like this: back at it like a crack addict, Mr. Black Magic, crack a bitch brack. I can't even say it. Crack a bitch back, chiropractic, craftmatic, Big Daddy smoking Big Cali in the black alley in the black Grand Natty. Bro, I can't even say that shit myself, and he's rapping it like over this beat. And yeah, they just let you know they mean business.
Yeah,
fucking, and they're about
it. The imagery that they portray in this is mad. Like you straight away get this vision of like both of them in this car shooting at police as they're chased down. You get that Killer Mike line, I've got 1 round left, 100 cops outside. I could shoot at them or put one between my eyes. Choose the latter, it ain't matter, it ain't suicide. And if the news say it was, then it's a goddamn lie. I can't let the pigs kill me. I got too much pride. And I meant it when I said it, you'll never take me alive.
Fucking beautiful, man.
It speaks for itself,
it's so
man.
Vivid. It's so vivid.
It is, like, both of them just, like, I don't know how they portray it so well, just with these, like, crazy bars.
It's testament to their proficiency as rappers, really.
As rappers, as storytellers, as everything, man. It's like, they're on it, 100%.
Absolutely, man.
I think we also got to talk about LP on this, because on this album, he's shown to me a new side, a new level to his rapping. I never considered him as like this crazy rapper. I always thought he was good. I never thought he was insane. I thought like Killer Mike does the best raps, and then LP does the beats and spits as well. But on this, they were toe to toe, man. Like honestly, LP blew me away on some of this. You trying to fuck with my brother, you get the bastard surprise. It's scammer bliss when you put in villains of charger shit. All of us targeted. All we've been doing is arguing. Pardon them as they walk until every pocket's been picked and the soul's been harvested. I'm ready to mob on these fucking charlatans.
Beautiful.
I mean, that verse is amazing. It's like there's so many levels and layers to it you can pick apart at. Like even the first lyric of that, scammer bliss when you put in villains in charge of shit. Could be a there's so many ways you can interpret that, and it's amazing how he puts that across.
I think up until this point, it's been a case of LP, you know, he said it himself, my name is LP, I produce and I rap too. And I think on this album he's cementing himself as the second rapper, not just the producer and the other guy who raps in Run the Jewels. Like he is Killer Mike's other half.
Like he's had good verses before, but I mean, like
absolutely,
on this it was so consistent and so like of a high level that
exactly.
he's gone above.
Absolutely. So let's talk about track number 2, Ooh La La, featuring Greg Nice and DJ Premier.
Oh, this was beautiful. So we've got Greg Nice and DJ Premier. That's very fitting because it's a Greg Nice sample of a Gangstar tune. Which one was it?
It's Dwick. It's called Dwick by Gangstar and Greg Nice.
And this tune's very much in the vein of DJ Premier and the Gangstar sound, but it's still very distinctly Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
And again, I just have to say it sounds so fun, man. Like the lyrics on here just hilarious, and they've both got this very catchy flow. The do 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 do, like throughout the whole track. And they're just spitting these hilarious bars. Like Killer Mike comes in with, first of all, fuck the fucking law, we is fucking raw, steak tartare, oysters on the half shell, sushi bar, life a bitch, and the pussy fish still fucked her raw.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's just fun.
I think they're really kind of expressing their sense of humor in this one as well. Because obviously, you know, on such a serious album in many places, you know, both of their verses are starting off with food bars. Like for example, Mike, he's talking about how they're raw, and then he's talking about steak tartare, and oysters, and sushi, which are all foods to be eaten raw. And yeah, man. And obviously his second verse is like one of the coldest things in this album, man.
Oh yeah.
Fuck a king or queen and all of their loyal subjects. I pull my penis out and I piss on their shoes in public. People, we the pirates, the pride of this great republic. No matter what you order, motherfucker, we're what you're stuck with. I used to love Bruce, but living my vida loca. Help me understand, I'm probably more of a joker. When we usher in chaos, just know that we did it smiling. Cannibals on this island, inmates run the asylum. Now, if you've watched Batman, you can appreciate how cool that is. But yeah, man. Brilliant track, man. Honestly.
Yeah, and then after they've done their verses, you get Primo coming in with his signature scratching.
Oh, yeah.
Always on point.
And the video for this as well. Let's not forget.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the most fun videos I've seen. It's just like this society that's having a party because they decided we're done with money.
Fuck it, yeah.
Just burn it. Which is a beautiful vision, I think.
Yeah, man, definitely.
And love this tune. But it did not prepare me for what was about to come. Like, so we've had both of these singles come out, and I thought, okay, these are pretty different Run the Jewels tracks, you know. I'm guessing the album might experiment a bit. Maybe these are the experimental ones, and then the rest of the album will be the same. And then, so you listen to the first two tracks on the album are these. You got into number 3, and it just hits you with bass, man.
What is this?
Like out of nowhere, it's just like bum 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 bum, and then it's one of the best beats I've heard all year.
It's one of the hardest beats in this album,
best beats I've heard in a very long time.
The levels of bass on this
just
thing,
so
man,
hype.
they're just extreme. Like I don't think there could be any more bass. Like the sample he's chopped, whatever it is tight as fuck because there's like.
Yeah,
it's like the balance between a bass line and obviously like a faint little melody going here and there, like at the same, and it's all frequency and just sound, sonic wizardry and shit. And it's like it's compressed to shit, but not in a way that sucks the life out of it, but like it brings all the dirtiness right to the forefront. And yeah, man, the whole thing it moves, it breathes, and it just feels like it's racing. And honestly, man, it blew my fucking mind when I first heard it. Love it.
Yeah, definitely. It's insane. And then you get 2 Chainz come in with that. I buy a hot dog stand because I'm trying to be frank.
Yeah, classic.
Legendary line.
It's just classic 2 Chainz for me, really.
Yeah, like I was wondering what 2 Chainz was gonna sound like on this. He was definitely one of the stranger picks I would have thought for Run the Jewels, but he comes in sounding perfect for the song. Got nothing bad to say about his verse. Killer Mike and LP on here. Killer Mike especially changes up his flows constantly. It just sounds like he's having fun with the beat, playing different things off it. And yeah, again, it's just stupid fun, braggadocious.
It's completely over the top.
Nothing to hate on.
It's a completely just everything about the song is just so over the top, ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
and it's perfect. It's incredible. But I mean, yeah, back to the beat though. Like, I think with this beat and with many of the other beats on this album, you can't express how hard they are in words. Like, to appreciate what we're going on about, you have to listen for yourself. But like, slightly higher, slightly louder than what's safe for your ears. Then you understand.
If you're not pissing off your neighbors, you're listening to this album wrong. You're doing it a disservice, really.
If you ain't got a headache the day after, you need to try again.
Yeah, that was the thing. We both had headaches after listening to it, just because of how hard it is. Yeah. And I've heard people say that as a criticism, but I'm like, isn't that what you want from a Run the Jewels album?
Yes.
Really, it's like LP's really into his metal and like heavy shit, isn't
he? Exactly.
So I think it's only right that we have that for hip hop
to be listened to loud.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's out of sight.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
This is the track that I would show to anyone, like if they were like, oh, what's the new Run the Jewels album? Like, stick on this track.
Absolutely, yeah.
Honestly, it's probably for Run the Jewels as a whole. What's Run the Jewels about? Listen to this track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So
Well,
Track number 4, Holy Calamafuck. What do you think of this one, Hamza?
it's beautiful. Opens it up with this like weird sample, and I mean, so there's a change up in this, but I feel like both beats that are displayed here are like really well done and could stand on their own as a whole song. But it's the way that it's transitioned that I loved. I thought it's done amazingly
It's such a sinister
well.
beat, though,
Builds
isn't it?
you up and then drops you in. Yeah.
It's like we mentioned last week that Frank Lucas on Alfredo, The Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs, that was a scary beat. Now this, it's like it's terrifying Big Brother. That's what it's like. It's like sinister, it's loose, it's like this kind of tribal feel, and it's like it's out to get you, you know. Obviously, you got the fire sample, you got all the screams and like the filthy synth basses and everything, man. And honestly, man, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it all leads to Mike's concluding bar. Fucking insane bar, man. You're a common cold and my flows are cancerous. That's how you end the song, man. Come on. Come on. But yeah, man.
I mean, for me, the standout here was actually LP.
Really?
I thought that I really liked. Well, there was one lyric that got me. He goes, "Pass the shit, Mike. I have to insist it. Reality sucks dick. How's that for wisdom?"
Yeah, that's a banging lyric.
that hit me straight away. Like first listen, and then I went into the lyrics further, and the next lyrics are like, "Lick the toads back like delicious. The time elves wave me off to the distance." I don't know what he's on about, time elves and fucking licking toads and stuff, but it sounds amazing. And the tone that they both have here, beautiful.
Exactly, yeah. exactly. Yeah. Brilliant track. Brilliant track. Also, you got the bongos as well. And the take that, you motherfucker, at the end of the track actually leads, it trails off very nicely into track 5, Goonies versus E.T. Now, this is the first instance in the album where we have an 808 lead. Now, obviously, this hits us. You know, this dirty little stab. Obviously, it's a simple straight hat rhythm, and yeah, it's an incredible beat. And then obviously we've got this amazing little break that comes in, and then the shit just goes off, man. And yeah, it's absolutely mental. There's also one bit in this track that stood out to me. It's kind of reminiscent of Legend Has It, the bridge in Legend Has It of 3, where they sample the crowd.
Yeah.
They do that again in this track. And yeah, brilliant. It's innovation, it's production wizardry. And who knows, if you were at that show, you never know. You could be on the new Run the Jewels album.
Show. Yeah,
it could have been us.
It's mad. And apparently, so there's the chorus in this. Apparently, it was originally intended for Elton John. So LP, it doesn't sound like it, but apparently LP wrote it for Elton John on a different song. Clearly, that didn't come to fruition, and he just slapped it on here, pitched it down, and
LP and Elton, man, I would love to.
So
LP's been doing bits recently, hasn't he? He's scored a film as well. Capone,
yeah. I've not watched it, but if LP's scoring it, definitely got to give that a watch.
But yeah, man.
But yeah, I really liked one of Killer Mike's lines here. He goes, "Amazing ain't it how he made it and didn't fake it. Life to disguise, truth is but naked. Used to be a time when I see it and not say it. Now I understand that the woke folk be playing."
Bro, Mike is like the wisest.
We're going to talk about relevancy to today, but come on. I mean, I guess people don't really say woke that much anymore, but it's the sentiments there, isn't it? Like, people pretend a lot of the time that they give a shit.
Yeah, man.
And
Mike goes in this track, but I will say though, my favorite part of this whole track is the go-go. Yeah, there's this go-go, and it comes in towards the end of Mike's verse, and it takes us into that break again. And man, it's just an example of the whole fucking thing being just hard as fuck. And it's just full of flavor, man. Like LP, he's got all the sonic spices, and he just fucking makes the whole thing just brimming with everything, man. And he's a genius. I'm gonna say it. The word gets thrown around too much. I try and like keep it to specific artists like Madlib, Dr. Dre. LP is a genius. Straight up.
Won't deny it. Yeah. Cool. Should we go on to track 6? Just going straight through these. Yeah. So this opens up with an amazing, just dirty guitar intro. Just like a bow, bow, and then the synths come in after that, and it's interwoven beautifully.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't talk about the song without talking about Mike's verse, which
one of the most harrowing things,
insane,
like to come out in the music industry recently.
Yeah. So, like, we recently had this new Black Lives Matter movement come up after the George Floyd incident, and you would think that this was written in the last week or so, like, because of how spot on and pinpoint it is. You even have the "I Can't Breathe" lyric, which is referencing Eric Gardner, but obviously it's even more relevant to today. Yeah, I can't think. It just baffles me that this was written then. Like, it really shows how bad things are that this was written like a year or two ago, and it's still
it's referencing a man that died in the same way, you know, asphyxiation at the hands of police. And it just shows, you know, shit's not changed.
Yeah.
And I think we'll come on to this a bit later, but Run the Jewels and Killer Mike, they do political stuff and social commentaries so well. Like, they do it in their own harrowing style.
Better than anyone else.
You know, it's educated, it's not cheesy or anything, but it's, you know, they're really, really, really driving the point home. But yeah, more on that later.
I like this line: "All of us serve the same masters, all of us nothing but slaves, but never forget, in the story of Jesus, the hero was killed by the state."
Shit. Mike is such a fucking G, man. He's like one of the smartest guys that like I know of, man. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to talk a bit more about the beat, man, because that's it might be my new favorite LP beat, you know. Yeah. It's
really?
Like, obviously you mentioned the guitar riff, but it just goes into this orgy of synths, and it's like just everything like sonically that you can imagine. It's just thrown in there, and you know, it's a journey. The beat itself is a journey.
Yeah,
it just keeps changing. It keeps changing. It keeps changing. You know, you got a whistle in there. You got a clave as the hi hat. You got fucking everything, and yeah, man. Honestly, if you're into you're not even experimental, just like kind of really out there music, check the song out. But yeah, I think let's go back to the lyrics, because it's kind of like it's almost like a different perspective kind of rap in each verse. So you kind of got LP, he's trying to understand the kind of the Trump supporters and the right and all of that. And obviously you got Mike speaking your normal logic, and then obviously LP at the end of his verse, he's going, "Nah, there's some bullshit," you know. There's hard hitting lyrics in both verses. For example, LP, he goes, "Funny fact about a cage, they're never built for just one group. So when that cage is done with them and you're still poor, it comes for you." And then also, obviously, towards the end of his verse, "If just one scrap of what Jesus taught connected, you'd feel different." And I mean, it's speaking some real shit, but the Mike's is the hardest hitting. I think he's calling out so many things. It's a commentary in a way that I've not heard before. You know, he's talking about how the system is designed to work against black people, how it's all there to turn everyone into a cog in the machine. You know, how the media control your views. You know, he's calling out the fake sympathy and the lack of genuine empathy that comes with being desensitized.
And if you think I'm just talking about the tone here, Like these are very
Absolutely.
serious issues that he's talking about. And after the George Floyd instance, when you saw anyone talking about it, it
Mm.
was in a very somber tone, and it was always this. This still sounds like Run the Jewels. It still sounds like
Mm.
it's still got that energy to it, and I think it just goes to show
Yeah,
that this is every day. This is like this is
absolutely.
not a one-off incident. This is every day for Killer Mike. They're like he's
And
seen this
he's
happen for
been speaking
years
out on
since he
it
was
for
a
years as
kid,
well.
and exactly, yeah, like that just
He's a
spoke
real
to me
dude.
more. The fact that like they were just still had the energy
Absolutely.
of a Run the Jewels track and able to cover such a serious topic in like
Absolutely.
highlighting the gory details. At
And I
like it was
think
just it's just another
another thing
day.
that I really liked about Mike's verse as well was that he stresses the importance of staying educated. Obviously, he's mentioning Noam Chomsky, Charles
Yeah,
Bukowski, and Dick Gregory. So education and obviously mindset is like one of the key factors that people need to emphasize. That isn't being emphasized enough if you're going to defeat
yeah,
evils such as racism in this context. And by Mike saying this, it's a constructive thing to say. People will listen to this and be like, "Oh, okay, let me check these guys out."
no,
That's
definitely.
what makes a real change, as opposed to someone just crying into a mic about how fucked up the world is. Like me personally, I'm not familiar with Chomsky and Bukowski and Gregory, but I hear Mike saying this. I'm inspired to check him out. So big up to Mike. Big up to Mike.
So track 7 is Just. Who's it featuring?
Featuring Pharrell Williams and Zach De La Rocha.
Yeah. Now it's interesting that you say Pharrell because that's who I thought of straight away when I heard this beat. Like just the booming, bouncing 808s that hit you straight away. It's
I
got
thought he
his
produced
signature.
it, to be fair.
Yeah. I had to check the credits to
Yeah,
see that
yeah,
it was
yeah.
LP. But yeah, to me it shows that it's like a flex that LP is doing on other producers. You get all these type beats, you get Pharrell type beats that people try making. This is LP doing a Pharrell type beat, and he's got Pharrell
For
on the
Pharrell.
track.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nah,
I
it's
found
brilliant,
that
man.
amusing. But yeah, the track itself is crazy. Like Pharrell's verse, he's going on about these. Look at all the slave masters posing on your dollar. Like that's quite
That's
a
some deep shit.
statement, isn't it? Like I've never even clocked that on your money in America it is just slave masters, slave owners.
Yeah.
That's mental to me. And like even the UK, we're not. We're still guilty of it as well. We got Winston Churchill on our money. I mean, there was a controversy recently about Winston Churchill with statue and that. Some people going, he killed Hitler. Apparently, that's what people are claiming. But I think he was a massive racist. So, I don't think we should have him on our money.
Well, so I think if you take the whole sentiment of look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar a little bit further, you could interpret it to be like we are still slaves, because a lot of the themes of this album cover how we're slaves to money.
Yeah.
And so essentially that's what this is saying. Look at all these slave masters on your dollar. Pharrell at one point says the 13th Amendment says that slavery is abolished. Shit.
Yeah.
Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. I mean, it's basically you couple it with the themes of the Ooh La La video and other tracks on it. It's some really fucking deep layered shit that they've got going on here.
Exactly, man.
But yeah.
And I think Zach's his vocals on here, so they kind of cut him in and out of the chorus. Just like right at the end, he shouts, "Look at all these slave masters!" And every time you hear him, just got chills on the back of my neck. Like I've never got goosebumps like that from an album before. It was mad. And then he comes in. It was weird. I was thinking before I heard the track, how would Zach and Pharrell sound on a track together?
This is the one I was most intrigued about.
Yeah,
like when I saw the
they're
track
just
list.
Being uniquely them and very authentic. And I don't think they're trying anything. They're not trying to be anything they're not. It's just very raw, very authentic. Zach's
real.
going in, doing his shouting and his passionate spitting. And yeah, he's an underrated rapper, man.
It's really good.
Needs more solo stuff.
Obviously, Pharrell's he's quite commonly known for a lot of his pop work.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate that a lot of people know him as the guy that did Happy. But you know, he's probably made a lot of money off that. So fair play to him.
I think the people who know him as that wouldn't be into his rap stuff anyway.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, this song obviously is challenging a lot of societal norms about, you know, how we think we're on top and how we think we're in control, but really we're subservient to the powers that be. You know, for example, Instagram, the education system, you know, that fake sense of power. And this is something that I feel that not many artists do in fact tackle. And yeah, I think it's, considering that in the previous song, Walking on the Snow, Mike literally says, all of us serve the same masters, all of us nothing but slaves. And that essentially leads into what this song is about. I think it's masterfully done. Incredible track. And the beat as well, man. Fucking hell. You just, it's so infectious, man. It's a bit of trivia for you. Anything Pharrell's involved in actually starts with his signature 4-bar counting. So if you listen out for it, it's a dum 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 dum, and that's every Pharrell beat ever.
Yeah,
just saying.
Cool. Yeah, this track though is incredible. It's definitely one of the highlights on the album.
And you've got that kind of shimmering female choir bit that's been flipped and leads into Zach's scream at the end.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
No, this is one I definitely come back to a lot. Yeah, definitely. This is one of the greatest.
Absolute bang.
But yeah, I think let's go on to Never Look Back.
Never Look Back.
Which, for this, I mean, the synths are really what got me. Just the synth rhythms playing without, and how they kind of mirror their flows off it as well. I feel like Killer Mike and LP playing nicely along with that. What do you think of it?
I think this is definitely the trippiest song on the album. It's the kind of the dark, eerie, spacey one, you know, out of all these tracks. Yeah. It's very psychedelic, you know, as I said, very trippy, super dark, kind of and intense. Obviously, the song feels to me to be about time. You know, it feels like you're floating through space, you know, through the ether, and it's just a really kind of it's hard to describe. I also think that LP's synth work on this whole album is absolutely phenomenal, and this is a great example of that. I think this might have been one of the songs that LP wanted to push for a bit more, and I'm really, really happy he did. Feels a lot about kind of accepting life in the present. And yeah, honestly, got the tick in, you've got the little ding at the end, and I'm just talking about it from a production standpoint up until now. This is incredible. But what do you make of it, Hamza?
Yeah, no, I thought the same. The synths were the main thing for me on this track. The verses were decent, but I'll be honest, I didn't dig too much into them. But what really stood out for me was that synth just playing off their flows. And it's interesting. Like we're 8 tracks in now, and I don't think there's been a single dud.
It's been
for the whole of this album, it's solid, and this is just another one that's like blew me away. Nothing bad to say about this one.
There's another kind of little switch up in this piece as well, with the open hats and like the drums change up a bit, and that's after a little excerpt from Mr. Motherfucking Esquire, who's a long-time LP collaborator, I believe. But yeah, this whole thing brilliant. There's a really cool mic bar. Daddy told me never give a honey my money. Had to ask Daddy, did that include mummy? Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also Ain't Shit Fly But the Drones Don't Know, which is a reference to Drones Over Brooklyn, which is a nod to some of LP's older work of Cancer for Cure. You should really check that out if you haven't. But yeah, brilliant track. Some really nice, smooth backing vocals on it as well. Sounds a bit like Boots, who was featured on the previous 2 albums. But yeah, this is an awesome track.
Yeah.
Super dark, trippy, floaty, spacey.
Yeah. I mean, this one's great, but it's really the next track that like blew me away.
This might be my favorite.
Oh yeah. The Ground Below, number 9. The beat's insane. It's this wonky guitar that you wouldn't really think would work on a track like this, but it's chopped up so beautifully, put along with these hard drums and bass.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Like I've used that word a lot, but it really is like this track blew me away 100%. Like I felt like it changed my life listening to this, honestly.
Yeah, man.
I've been looking for a track like this. Like it's not rap rock. It's not anything like that.
But it's kind of what rap rock always wanted to be,
guitar,
I feel.
Yeah, it uses the guitar in a very like in your face way.
Yeah.
And it's something that's not been experimented well with in rap. I feel like people have done it badly.
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah.
You've seen Lil Wayne try and do a guitar solo. This isn't that. This is like just it's a meld of the two worlds that's done really tastefully and really well.
And I think we have to talk about the sample that has been used for this. So
yeah,
that is where the guitar comes from. It's a song called Ether by a band called Gang of Four. And that was from a seminal punk album that they released in 1979 called Entertainment. And they talk a lot about the Irish Troubles in that. It's an album that I've not really listened to, but from what I've read up on them and their music, they share a lot of the similar kind of social and political sentiments to Run the Jewels. So it kind of makes sense that their two worlds come together on an album such as Run the Jewels Fall.
And then LP comes in with the line, born from the ether. I just appeared out a cloud of reefer.
Screaming, fuck the world, you can drink what's coming out my urethra.
Yes.
Brilliant. That might be my favourite LP verse, man.
Yeah, both of their verses are insane. I really like how Killer Mike opens it up. The God Killer, this Tokyo, and I'm Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
The fucking energy in this one is unmatched.
Oh, it's insane.
Anything else I've heard, in a long fucking time, man, honestly.
Like this track, I was not expecting on this album, like this type of track.
Oh, me neither, man.
And I'm so glad it's here. Like,
I remember
I don't need them to experiment in the sound again. Like, I'm just happy we got this one song and it's perfect. And
it's a special
I will
one,
be
man.
playing this for years to come.
I think after the kind of synth underworld of Never Look Back, this is like, it sweeps in like a and you're like, holy shit, yo, no.
Oh yeah, the way
and
it goes up,
like
you hear the riff, but it gets like louder and louder.
Yeah, it
at the
sweeps
start.
in the filter.
It's like and then it hits you.
Yeah. It's brilliant. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, man. Obviously, you see a future where Run the Jewels in the shit, cancel my Hitler killing trip, turn the time machine back around the century. Tell him, LP.
Oh,
man.
this track's so good, man.
This one's just special. You just gotta check out.
Again, I don't know, like,
Check out.
Out of Sight is what I'd recommend to people to listen to, like, the first track. But I feel like, personally, for me, I feel like this track was made for me.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said earlier. It's a track that, you've been looking for, and I can say the same for myself, man. Like, I grew up on, like, metal and rock and shit.
Yeah.
And I got into hip hop in my teens, and I've never heard a track like this combining those two worlds so perfectly. So this one is a perfect piece of music, man, honestly.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's go on to Pulling the Pin. Now, I like this one, but I think if I had to choose one that possibly didn't hit as hard as the rest, probably this one, because the tone, like, you get the energy of The Ground Below, and then now it kind of takes a tone down, which is, we're talking about getting headaches after listening to this. You can't have constant, like, in your face shit. I think it's a needed rest, especially I think it sets you up for the finale really well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a
So
precursor.
in terms
Yeah, exactly. It's a
so
precursor.
in terms of the album, it serves a good purpose, but and it had its interesting features. No, by no means am I saying it's bad. I feel like we had a dip in energy here. How did you find it?
Well, obviously, the track features Josh Homme of Caius and Queens of the Stone Age, both
Yep.
legendary bands, and also R&B legend Mavis Staples.
Yep.
So it's an interesting combination of features. In some ways, the beat kind of feels like a continuation of Never Look Back. And that's another kind of dark, spacey synth porno, except this one's in 12/8, obviously, which is a precursor to track 11, which is in 3/4.
Right.
But yeah, this song once again explores kind of the perils of, of the system in which we live. And it explores the themes of freedom and, it's the spiritual being greater than the material and all of that. And there's a line where L's referring to how money controls you. Right. You'd think the universe forgot us the way the cursed pitched their product, as though our spirit's not a fire that can't be snuffed or turned to dollars. And, that echoes a lot of the same sentiment off a lot of the previous tracks in this album. And I think at this point in the album, they're kind of tying everything together. And I think with Josh Homme on the backing vocals and with Mavis on the grenade chorus, the whole thing, it comes together brilliantly. We got guitars again.
Yeah.
Here's Following the Ground Below. We got guitars in here. We got a lovely piano in verse 2 as well. Got more synths coming as the song progresses. Got some really fucking cool riffs as well. But yeah, and then obviously Mike at the end. We were saying to each other when we first heard this, we were kind of worried that he was going to do a spiritual lyrical miracle individual, but he didn't. So testament to Mike's ability as a rapper.
He got close, but yeah. This one was I did really like the lyrics in this, and again the imagery they kind of put across, the tone they were taking. It was kind of like they were reading off scripture or something. It was really cool. And yeah, Mavis Staples with these haunting vocals was brilliant. I only know her from Gorillaz, so I'm going to dig into some more of her music.
I think she's been around for a while. I think she's like 80. And considering she's still sounding so fucking powerful on there, like, fair fucking play. Right.
Definitely. She did a similar thing with Gorillaz. I think Pusha T was on that track.
Yeah. Soft Humans.
Yeah. But this pretty solid, this track. Nothing bad to say about it.
Absolutely, man. Obviously, Mike at the end saying, the devils, they do the despicable, and still they move like they're invincible. These filthy criminals sit at the pinnacle, doing their typical, keeping us miserable, talking the most and providing the minimal. And that leads us beautifully into track 11, the finale. The grand epic closer. A few words for the firing squad. Radiation.
This is the best Run the Jewels song.
Absolutely. No debate.
I think I can say that. Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? It's like Run the Jewels. It's like a rap Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like a rap opera. Like it feels on that scale of a song, I couldn't have hoped for a better closer to this album. I feel like if it was just another 2 minutes synthy bass piece, we would have been like, yeah, that's great, but it could have gone out harder. This is that.
This is the out of body experience.
This is as good as you get for closers.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
First of all, their verses sound like they're about to go and die. The song's called Last Words for the Firing Squad, and it sounds like it's just
they're about to be executed.
But about to be executed, saying goodbye to their loved ones and telling how they got here. And I love how they sound. I love the tone. Love everything about their verses. But really, the standout here is the instrumental.
Oh, yeah.
Because we got a lot of instrumental, and it's beautiful. There's sax in there, there's strings, there's like, it's an insane piece. It builds up beautifully to this crescendo. Like there's a silence, and then you get into this weird cowboy western bit. Yeah. This piece is insane. I feel like I can't do it justice with words. You just have to listen to it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never heard a rap track that is, and it's not even, it doesn't feel right to call this a rap track, you know, but it just feels like I've never heard something so raw, you know.
It feels like a theatrical piece.
Exactly. And you know, it almost feels existential, like how honest they are. You know, I know that psilocybin plays a large part in LP's work, so I imagine it's played a part in this one. But yeah, I mean, fucking hell. You ever notice that the worst of us have all the chips? It really kind of takes the sheen of people getting rich. Now that's, you know, they've spoken a lot about the system and money and all of that throughout the whole album. This is kind of them wrapping up a lot of those themes. For me, what got me the most was Mike's verse. Mike's obviously a big family man.
Yeah.
And here's one of the most fucking frank lyrics on it. Dead serious, is a chore not to let myself go insane. It's crippling, make you want to lean on a cup of promethazine. But my queen say she need the king, not another junkie flunky rapper fiend. Friends tell her he could be another Malcolm, he could be another Martin. She told her partner, I need a husband more than the world needs another martyr. And yeah, and he goes into detail about his mum and her death, which, you know, he doesn't have to do. That's some really personal shit, but he's really bearing his heart. And it goes to show, man, he's a really fucking real guy. He's passionate about you know what he does. And how better can you finish an album than this? This is for the do-gooders that the no-gooders used and then abused. For the truth-tellers fed to the whipping post, left beaten, battered, bruised. For the ones whose body hung from a tree like a piece of strange fruit. Go hard. Last words to the firing squad was fuck you too.
Yeah.
And then we get the string section going into this fucking insane, the most insane sax solo you've ever heard in your life.
Oh yeah, it's weird. Like I want to know if LP wrote this and then he got a player in, or it was improvised or whatever. Because it feels distinctly Run the Jewels. It feels like part of this universe, part of their sound. That's something I'd definitely, because it's got that weird kind of.
It feels free. It's like a kind of free jazz kind of bit. The player's a guy called.
It feels evil and weird, like a Run the Jewels. It could be a synth line that LP's done.
Exactly.
But then,
It's like,
you know, it's got that same vibe.
It's like, it's almost atonal, but it's just like, it just feels like your soul's ascending. Yeah. And like, I'm sure I'm gonna butcher this name, but it's played by a guy called Kuchemia Gastelum. As I said, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, but they've got an in key sax, massive sax player, and obviously where the LP wrote it, or that's improvised, you know, that coupled with all the interludes throughout the track and just everything else, man. You got the vocal arpeggios very faintly in the background, and man, you can't. And then
really the closer comes in beautifully. Like this, I didn't expect to hear this, but it kind of makes the first track even better, because it's like the theme song to Yankee and the Brave now, and it closes it up beautifully.
Exactly, it gives it a point.
Yeah, because when you first hear Yankee and the Brave, you think, that's cool idea. And then you don't expect this payoff to come right at the end of the album, out of nowhere, like this fucking Johnny Cash type cowboy bit.
The conclusion to an epic saga.
Exactly. And I mean, Killer Mike's talked that he's been listening to a bit of country, and we've talked about how we really hate country, but I think this is the type that's good. It's a very specific kind of gangster type country.
The real shit. The real shit.
Yeah.
Not the cheesy sappy shit. That's the shit we hate. It's like we're talking the raw, the good shit.
Nah, that's the good shit. But yeah, I've got nothing more to say on this, man.
Yeah, man.
It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. The best Run the Jewels song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ever.
So, overall thoughts, Run the Jewels 4.
Overall thoughts, Run the Jewels 4. I have not heard an album on first listen that I've liked this much ever. Like, if I think about my favorite albums, To Pimp a Butterfly, I didn't realize the brilliance till probably my third listen. Even other stuff I've heard, like, you know, Mad Villainy, that takes a while to grow on you. It's not an instant straight away one. So I feel like this is my favorite album that I've heard straight up. Number one listen, it's hit me. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, man. Everything about this album I fucking loved. There are no misses whatsoever. It's banger after banger. You know, first listen, like you said, hits me. You know, it hit me straight away, and it still does. You know, even though I've rinsed the fucking album since it came out.
Yeah.
The production is basically everything I've ever wanted to hear myself. Is everything I've wanted to try and make myself. It's the record that I've always wanted. Sonically, you know, the hard hitting bass, the drums, the eclectic instrumentation, switch ups, all of that shit, man. And man, as a fan of synths, man, like, I can't express it enough. You know, I'd love to know what he was using. I would also love to know what they were smoking as well. And if they can send us some, because it'd be good for research. But yeah. As for the politically charged kind of side of things, Run the Jewels, they've kind of nailed their own.
They do it like no one else.
Style of it. Exactly. It doesn't come off as wishy-washy or anything.
Yeah, it never sounds like they're preaching to you.
Exactly.
It's always done.
It's got that clever edge. It's got that wit to it. You know, they express their fury in a very convincing way, and they've got the ability to make you feel what they feel. And just my last point is that these are two men in their 40s, and they sound hungrier than most rappers half their age.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's because they're rapping about shit that they genuinely believe in. And at this point, Run the Jewels is a passion project for them. They don't have to be doing it. And yeah, if they're rapping about superficial shit that's going to become redundant in a few years, that's where's the longevity? What's the point? Run the Jewels, you know, we're 4 albums in and everything's been absolutely bang on.
We haven't even talked about LP, how there's not really any signature LP beat. Like, he's constantly changing it up. You can say there's a signature Run the Jewels beat. You can say his solo work maybe had a sound to it. But with this album, I think he's shown like the level that he can experiment at. And for me, that shows
100%.
that he's not even reached his full potential yet. I think there's better stuff to come from LP. And like, that's been highlighted to me by this album.
This is this feels like the culmination of his career's work, really.
Yeah. And I think he's on another level right now, and I really think that there's more to it. I think he's got there's another level of LP we haven't seen yet.
Absolutely,
and I think this is like the building blocks for that. And as such, I think I'm being cautious to give this a 10 out of 10, because on first listen it definitely was, but I'm being very cautious because for me 10 out of 10 is a big thing. I don't want to just give that away constantly. For like, very few albums should have that. Would I place this on the same level as To Pimp a Butterfly? I think it'd be slightly lower, to be honest, but only just because it is fucking incredible. So for me, it's going to be a 9.8.
9.8.
Yeah.
Harsh.
Just because I think Run the Jewels 5 is going to be even better, and I think that's going to be
Good
10.
point.
So you have to leave some leeway there.
Fair enough. I mean, for me, I think this album's a benchmark for hip hop. I think everyone in the world needs to hear this album.
Oh yeah, we're going to be comparing stuff to this constantly.
Exactly.
Every album from now.
No, I think while Run the Jewels 5 may well be better, I think they're going to go for a different style, a different sound. And given the versatility of LP's beats on this, that may well be kind of a similar process behind that, just a completely different texture, a different feel. But I mean, with that, what they've attempted to do over here, and this is how I'm thinking of it, this is how I'm scoring it, what they've attempted to do over here and kind of what they've gone for on this album and the previous 3 albums, I think they've mastered it here. I wouldn't want anything else. I don't want them to change anything on this album. This album is, in my eyes, perfect.
Oh, definitely.
That's not a word I throw around. I've never given a 10 out of 10 on this podcast before. And with that, this is my first 10 out of 10.
Nice.
This is a perfect album, 100%. I fucking loved it. I have absolutely no complaints about it. I think it's a masterclass in production, rapping, lyricism, everything. Love it.
I had to really think why it wasn't a 10. And there are bits that, like, there's lots of nitpicks I can make on this album, but really it's incredible.
Yeah.
And the only reason it's not a 10, because I really think that LP is going to come out with something insane for his next project.
Yeah.
I think he's hit a level now.
9.8 is a respectable score.
Cool. Anything more to say?
I think we've said enough, man. Shout out to Run the Jewels. Not a disappointing album. Well worth the wait.
Yes. Our first 10 out of 10 album. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Say watching now. It's not listening anymore.
It's our first. It's the first.
Yeah. Yeah. So tune in next week. We'll be looking at Bandana. So you got the t-shirt.
Nicely done, man.
That's with Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, and that is probably another 10 out of 10.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
We'll find out next week.
That's my favorite album, the 2010s.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So 2 good weeks.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.